absolutely crazy day, not just for the Orioles, but everywhere. But I think it's worth asking whether or not what kind of grades we should give the Orioles as far as the trade deadline is concerned. I mean, I can go ahead and go first. My overall grade, if I was going to give them a grade, I think it'd probably be like a B minus. One of the big reasons is because the Orioles did really well, I think, given what they had in the circumstances and what teams were asking for elite pitchers was just way too much. So working with what they had, I think they did really well on the starting rotation side, just not there for that high leverage situation type pitcher. I was really kind of expecting that. And so that's kind of why I would say it'd be more of like a B minus. I don't know if I'd go any lower than that.
Okay, fair enough. Who would like to?
John Heyman, I'm sorry, just got Heyman again. He said his phone blew up at the end and there was miscommunication. J.D. Davis was not traded.
Shocking. He
just put that out there. I'm sorry.
All right.
All right, let's go to Zach. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Brad. This is a B minus in my eyes. They had opportunity. I'm going to say they had opportunities because the opportunities were out there. Does that mean that they were, going to happen? No, but there were guys out there like the Scooble, like the Crochet, who I think you could have gone to make this an A plus. This is not saying a B minus is a bad trade deadline. The Orioles got better. The Orioles got better and put themselves in a better position than they were a week ago. But I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little disappointed that they didn't go get a certified ninth inning guy like a Tanner Scott, like a Finnegan. So that's kind of where I'm taking a lot off. I also would have preferred you get a true outfielder besides Eloy Jimenez, who doesn't really necessarily feel like a move that it helps the right-handed bat situation, but I don't know how it helps getting more prospects up, getting more guys playing time. It felt like that could have been more of a Coby Mayo move, but at the end of the day, we will see how that all goes down and kind of what, it's a salary dump. Let's see new spot, what's the word am I looking for? New atmosphere. For Eloy Jimenez. Let's see if that helps him out. If he can stay healthy, it's going to be a good trade. But I'm going to go with Brad. I'm at a B minus. I could be up to a B, but if it was like a Kevin Pillar instead of a Eloy Jimenez, who I think fits that left field backup role better against right-handers, I probably would be getting it like a B plus. But I'll go B minus right now. I'm not too disappointed, but they could have done more.
Fair enough. Who would like to go next talking about this? Go ahead, Rock.
I mean, I'll go with a B minus as well. And I'm not just saying it because these guys did. It's the Orioles for what they gave up and for what they got in return and not having to give up any of your untouchables, as we would say, the Coby Mayos, the Jackson Hollidays, guys that you see, Samuel Basayo, the guys that you want here for the long run and guys that could be the future of the franchise, and to get depth in the bullpen. That's a need. You got that. Okay. To get a bat, that's one of their needs. They got that. And then to get two starting pitchers, you may feel one way or the other about one of them, but you push guys back out of the rotation that don't need to be there right now. This was a rotation that suffered through its injuries, okay? And then you end up with Kyle Bradish on the injured list. You end up with John Means on the injured list. You end up with Tyler Wells on the injured list. Other guys were on the injured list as well. So to get the guys they got in a rotation that featured Cole Irvin, who just got designated for assignment, hate to see that, but it happened for a reason. And then Albert Suarez to be pushed to a middle relief role. I think the Orioles addressed the needs, and this was not a failure of a deadline by any means. And if you think that, I think you're crazy.
I'll save my opinion for a second. Kevin.
I don't know if anyone has said this one. I'm going to go B minus. But I was thinking that before anybody went, but I do go B- because I feel like if we're getting down into like the C grades, I don't think that does the Orioles justice because they did upgrade their roster. I think the question everybody does have is it enough? We throw all these big names out there, and we talked forever about Scooball and Crochet, and we talked about all these guys, but I think the names that we are seeing actually on the team now are not the names that we really spent a lot of time on. And at the end of the day, it's kind of what I talked about earlier in the show, where it's like this team prioritized getting guys who can be on this team for multiple seasons with team control. That's always going to cost you more in terms of your prospects. I'm still a little shocked at the Norby Stowers combined trade, but again, it costs a lot to get a lefty starter in this market. Pitching was always at a premium, and I think we saw that with Kikuchi yesterday, where the Astros gave up an absolute haul. Obviously, Tanner Scott for a rental as a bullpen guy even. The Padres gave up almost their entire farm system for him. So I think at the end of the day, Baltimore's bullpen got new life. They got a starter where you can push Albert Suarez of the bullpen also, which I think is another move in its own, even though I know people don't really want to hear that, but it is. And to me, the rotation also did get an upgrade where you're not kind of wondering, like, are they going to try the Povich McDermott thing? Who's going to slot in here? Who's going to slot in there? I think right now you have a pretty set five. And that to me is a good thing because you're able to get more on a schedule and guys aren't coming up and going down. I think you can establish more of a rhythm with these guys. And I think it's important for them to also have gotten a guy like Eloy Jimenez, who, again, you're not going to get much out of him in the field, but I still think he does give you the ability, if the health is the question, but if he can stay healthy, I think he can be a big player for them down the stretch, who, again, now we're seeing the Orioles take on salary dumps. Like it's a new era here. And that's something that's really interesting too.
Yeah.
Yep. So before I give my take here, we appreciate everyone that's tuned in. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We really would appreciate it. We talk a lot of Orioles, obviously, but we talk a lot of baseball. When it gets to football, we're going to talk a lot of Ravens because we're from the Baltimore region. But we're going to talk a lot of football when that time comes around and moving down into other parts of Maryland, maybe into some college athletics. But to finish it off here on my grade, look, I'm actually going to upgrade it up. I'm going to say a B, a solid B. And I'm going to give you the reason why. It's part of what the Orioles did and part of what other teams didn't do. Okay? So when we're looking at the American League, I think the Orioles are in a great position compared to their teams. And when you're looking at it, I think the Orioles are a more complete team than the New York Yankees, given what happened at the deadline. Now, for the Orioles, I think their rotation is more put together. I think that they added some pieces in the bullpen. And look, we don't know fully what's going to happen with this bullpen, but what you can appreciate is the Orioles went after more veterans. Eflin, they got him. Trevor Rogers, they're banking on him. That's the one that's going to make or break this deal down the road here for me. Trevor Rogers turns into that form that they're hoping what they gave up, then in that case, it's going to turn out to be a very good deal. Now, Dominguez and Soto, you're hoping that those guys can find even more success, but they bring a veteran presence to a bullpen. You want veteran presence. On the offensive side, Eloy Jimenez is a guy that you're not expecting for defensive production per se, but you think a guy in a new scenery can go out there, hit some balls around the yard, and be a beast in the middle of your lineup. That's your hope. Biggest issue for him, though, injuries. Only played over 120 games twice so far in his big league career. So being on the field is so important, but you're leaving the worst team in baseball in the Chicago White Sox and you're joining one of the best. That's great. But honestly, when you look around, I just think that the Orioles are, that's why I'm giving it the B. I'm not saying it was the greatest moves of all, that like, oh, they got slam dunk, but you kept all of your guys that you wanted to keep. You got better. And on top of it, you solidified yourself, in my opinion, as still being the best team in the American League East. And you're going to give yourself a chance here to be a team that can contend and make a run. Because right now, the only teams that would scare me, and if it stays the way it is, it's Houston and Texas. And at the moment, only one of those teams is making it to the playoffs at this moment. times can change. So I'm giving it a B, solid B, because of what other teams did. And we're going to have to see what's going to happen here with the Baltimore Orioles with the guys that they acquired.